Yo, what is up guys, Ghost here. Welcome back to another video. Today, we're going to be talking about one of the biggest changes in update 6.1 that may have actually gone completely under your radar. So ever since that update came out, helicopters, specifically the Nightbird, the stealth helicopter, and also the jet in fact, are now susceptible to damage from regular rounds from almost any weapon in the game. And I had previously talked about this in a video. I did have some worries there that it may be a little bit too overpowered if, for example, you have a squad of 4 players all with LMGs targeting a Nightbird or targeting a stealth helicopter. Is it going to be too powerful? How is this going to play out? You know, how much damage is one specific bullet going to do to one of these vehicles? But overall, I didn't want to pass judgment on this change until I'd had a chance to actually play the game post 6.1 and do some testing on my own. So that is exactly what I've done. I've done a bunch of testing with all the weapons, AP rounds, regular rounds, and in this video I'm going to give you the lowdown on just how effective they can be against helicopters. As always guys, if you do enjoy the content here on the channel, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on future Battlefield videos. We are ever so close to 49,000 subscribers. Thank you guys so much for the support of late. It really does mean a lot to me. And as always, if you guys fancy a chat outside of YouTube, you can always hit me up on X or Discord, or by all means join me on Twitch TV. We are streaming over there 3 times a week, so if you guys fancy a chat or just to play a few rounds of Battlefield, you are more than welcome there. So after 6.1 released last week, I jumped on stream and the first thing I did is to run around with an LMG and start firing at enemy Nightbirds and seeing how much damage I could do. And on my damage indicator, which I'm going to assume most of you guys will have turned on, I was doing something like 20 damage. Now I assume this to be 20% damage, because normally if you see 20 pop up when you damage an enemy soldier, that means 20% of their health. However, when it comes to enemy vehicles, that is actually not always the case. So what we did is we jumped into a private server, and shout out to all the guys on the stream who helped me test this stuff out, and we started messing around shooting helicopters. So here I'm using the LCMG, which is an LMG with the regular ammunition, and if I shoot 10 rounds, on my screen it tells me that I'm doing 10 damage. Now you would assume that to be 10% damage. It actually isn't 10% damage. So 10 damage in this situation here is actually 3% of the helicopter's overall health. So after that, I started to ask myself, okay, well, how much damage do AP rounds now do versus the regular rounds? So we did some testing with various different LMGs, and we found that a full magazine of AP rounds, which I think is usually 75 rounds on most LMGs, got the aircraft down to 46% health. Whereas 200 rounds of regular ammunition actually left the helicopter sat at 58%. So 75 AP rounds will get the helicopter down to less health than 200 regular rounds. Now obviously most of the time you aren't going to be running around with the AP rounds equipped, and by this time you see a helicopter and go, oh hold on, let me switch to my AP rounds, that helicopter is going to be gone and nowhere to be seen. So I'm not really sure if anybody is still going to use the AP rounds unless you're specifically, you know, helicopter hunting or something like that. So the AP rounds definitely have a big effect on damage, but you may also be wondering, what about weapon type? So as I mentioned, 10 rounds from regular ammo with an LMG did 3% damage to the helicopter. However, 10 rounds with an assault rifle only did 2% damage. So it does seem indeed that assault rifles are going to damage helicopters and other aircraft a little bit less. As for the type of aircraft here, I thought that maybe the jet or the stealth helicopter perhaps would be a little bit more armored than the Nightbird, because after all, the Nightbird does have the advantage of mobility, but they are all exactly the same. Every time we tried this, we managed to get all of these vehicles down to 46% with a full magazine of AP ammo, and then again 58% health with a full magazine of regular ammo. So vehicle type doesn't really matter here. Now something else we also wondered about is whether or not one single bullet would be enough to stop the auto repair. So when you've taken damage on your vehicle, even if you don't use the quick repair in your loadout, after a certain amount of seconds, the auto repair will kick in, and traditionally this has meant that you can get back into the fray as long as you have your flares and you can protect yourself against enemy lock-on missiles. Even if you're at like 40% health and the auto repair has kicked in, you can jump back into the fray, and as long as you don't take damage from, let's say, a Wildcat or an HMG on one of the tanks, your helicopter can keep repairing itself while you're doing damage. That is now not the case, so as we suspected, one single round is all it takes here to do that tiny little bit of chip damage that will stop the auto repair in its tracks. And I don't really recall how many seconds it takes for auto repair to kick in, but it's quite a long time. I think it's somewhere in the span of 20 to 30 seconds. So I think this is certainly going to encourage pilots to run a little bit more, especially if you're in a helicopter, as an engineer, so that you can actually land the helicopter and repair instead of just waiting for the auto repair to kick in. I think it's also worth knowing for those infantry players. However, I will mention this, that most of the very low caliber weapons in the game don't do any damage at all. So a lot of the pistols do not do any damage to these aircraft. However, the Deagle and the Magnum that do have higher caliber rounds will do damage. But then when we come to the primary weapons, you don't need to worry there. I think any primary weapon in the game is going to do that damage. So overall, what do we want to take out of these findings? Well, I don't really think it is as big as a threat as I first thought. Unless you have a squad down on a flag, all of them with LMGs with AP rounds equipped, yes, maybe then you should worry about them actually destroying you and shooting you out of the sky. But let's face it, that is almost never going to happen. Furthermore, when I'm flying around in 6.1, I don't really find anybody shooting me with small arms fire most of the time, unless it's, you know, somebody that I'm specifically targeting and they're trying to shoot me out of the cockpit and steal my helicopter. That has always been the case, but I don't find anybody else on the flag sort of teaming up, if you will, against my helicopter with their LMG or with their assault rifle. And I think this is pretty much like a waste of your ammo anyway, because if you look at it from a infantry player's perspective, if you're there spamming into the air with 30 rounds or 40 rounds or whatever from your assault rifle, well, guess what? The enemy just figured out exactly where you are, and they're probably going to head straight over there and kill you. But what I will say is it is almost always worth it for you to hit that enemy helicopter with just like a couple of rounds, especially if you see that they're damaged and their auto repair might just be about to kick in. All it takes is like one round from you, and they're going to have to wait another 20 to 30 seconds for the auto repair. So every little bit of damage that they take from an AA missile, every little bit of chip damage that they take from an HMG on top of a tank, or from a flat cannon, or from a Wildcat, or whatever it is, they're not going to be able to repair it up unless they actually get out of there, land, and manually repair as an engineer. And I think that has overall been the target of these changes, is to cause the helicopters to fall back a little bit more often and stop the pressure that they're putting onto a certain objective. So yeah, I thought these were interesting findings. I haven't seen anybody really talking about this, and as I said at the start of the video, I think a lot of infantry players don't even realize that this is a new mechanic that is in the game. And hopefully for any pilots out there as well, this has been eye-opening for you, and now you realize exactly how this all works. As always guys, leave me your comments down below, leave a like if you enjoyed the video. Special thank you to my members and Twitch subs for your additional support, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Cheers.